let's say I start with an example from Germany because it's very Germany manufactures a lot. Also international projects. So the German car industry has about 1 million employees. The German renewable industry has 400,000. So it's almost half the car industry in Germany. So it's a serious industry. Those jobs are partly operation and maintenance, what you're talking about, partly manufacturing, partly finance. Some is sort of selling the electricity. The experiences, and we have done many studies about sort of employment effects. You have a hump where you have more employees when you build up renewable energy. And this will last over a period of, let's say, 20 years, something like that. If we, like, for example, if you implement our plan for Mexico, you have to, for a period of, let's say, 20, maybe 25 years, more jobs, a lot more jobs than the normal electricity supply. But in any case, it comes down to the normal level of the electricity supply jobs you have in the country anyway. So, for example, if you have 150,000 people working in the electricity industry right now, you probably end up with roughly the same amount of people, maybe a little bit more, in 20 or 30 years' time, where you have a peak of more jobs during construction. In Mexico, you could have, for a longer period of time, more jobs because it would be a very good regional hub to produce equipment for Central America. For example, Brazil is to some extent already the hub for South America. For example, a German company would not, if there is a stable market, would not produce in Germany and ship it over to Mexico. Definitely not. That doesn't make sense. So you produce the sensitive parts, you know, where you have a patent on. Sort of this is small, this is equipment inside the wind turbine or something you can ship over in a container. But you will manufacture the blades, the mast, the fundament, everything in Mexico because it simply doesn't make sense to ship it over. It's just too big, and also the labor costs in Mexico are actually a fraction of what they are in Europe. So you basically have the opportunity to become a hub, a regional hub for the equipment. I know that the debate in Mexico right now is that once we have cheap gas, you have cheaper electricity. That's obviously not true. I mean, if you produce gas and you get a Mexican customer offers you $5, and across the border in the US you say, okay, I give you 10, to whom you sell? So you're competing, even with your own gas, you're competing on an international basis already. And then oil, and this is sort of a very funny part, if people say, you know, oil will make, you know, if we go into oil exploration, that will make your energy bills cheaper. That's complete nonsense. Because the electricity supply has absolutely nothing to do with oil. Okay, you have in rural areas you do have diesel generators, but diesel generators right now are between 5 and 10 times more expensive than solar right now.
But people don't know.
No, they don't know that, of course. Yeah? I mean, oil and solar or wind compete, let's say, in 15 years' time if you have a huge fleet of electric vehicles. I don't see that problem right now, and I don't see that development in Mexico to have a huge fleet of electric cars anytime soon. Maybe in 10 years, maybe in 15 years. And we are, from Greenpeace, we have in our energy revolution scenario, we have a lot of electric vehicles in order to replace oil. But this is a job of a generation. We basically, our vision is going to 2050. Each new technology, and let's say take a mobile phone as an example. It takes a generation to implement. Right now, it is impossible to get a license in Europe for shale gas.
I know.
It's not possible because the environmental standards just not there. So what the US did will not be repeated in Europe. I don't know if it will be repeated anywhere. Well, there is one interesting aspect where you need to look a bit closer into, and this is what is happening with shale gas in the US itself. The thing is, shale gas is you basically, you crack stones or the ground with high pressure water and some chemicals to get gas out. It is very easy to understand that this gas will not flow forever. It's just what's in this area. And that means that the well you're drilling will be the production reduction every year goes down rapidly. That means that even if you have some gas or a lot of gas coming out of one well, it will disappear much quicker than other national gas resources. Which means we are basically observing that right now. It could be, I'm not saying it will happen next year, but it could be that the entire shale gas boom in the US will fade out because first, they need to drill far more holes to get the same amount of gas out of the ground, which makes it very expensive, which makes it very quite disastrous for the water supply, for the environment, and also for the costs. I am not convinced that the real price of shale gas is actually below normal natural gas. I don't think so. It's right now because of this boom right now. But I don't think in the long run that this will be actually the case. You invest this money into an infrastructure you do not use or you can't use afterwards. So basically, it's stranded investment. If something goes wrong or if the resource is not there anymore, you're ending up with a lot of stranded investments. It's gone. While what we propose is a long-term transition where you sort of rely on indigenous resources which are basically will not run out. I mean, if we have no sunshine anymore, then we have other problems than energy supply. So, I mean, we have local resources we can use with adequate technology, smartly, in the long run. And to change an energy system, that takes a generation. We're not saying tomorrow. But what we basically have right now here as an energy supply, the structure today was decided like 15 or 20 years ago. So what we do, this generation of politicians, they decide for our children. So for example, if a politician decides to build a coal power plant today, the coal power plant is 2014. It takes about roughly 7 years to build. So we are in 2021. It's built and financed to operate for 40 years. So we are talking about electricity generation which starts in 2020 or 21 and operates till 2060, which means that a baby born today on the same day of the decision will be in his 50s. So that means this is a very long-term decision. And the whole time, it's stuck with a resource because once you have built a power plant, and I'm coming from the anti-nuclear movement, I know how long it takes to switch off a running power plant because it must earn the revenues, which means that you're sticked with 40 years of fuel supply. And you give that decision to your children. Great. And they have to deal with it. And also, the other problem is, or the other thing is that, you make a decision today, it comes online in 2020, and you know already in 2020, so even solar is cheaper than coal. So on the first day of production, you're already above the production price from other renewables.
Well,